Hi, it's Brian. Welcome to the awards contender. And it's not just me today. Guess who's joining me for early acting Oscar predictions? We've got Oscar expert and brother bro. Welcome, guys.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks so much for joining me. We have spent some time at the festivals together at Sundance. We just went to Toronto. And I thought it was time to go over our early acting Oscar predictions. There's a lot of people, a lot of performances to talk about as we reach the end of September here. I thought we would start with Best Actress. Like, how are you guys feeling about Best Actress right now?
The 4 and 5 is really messing me up because we have options, you know. And there's many less contenders who are also in Best Picture movies, so that's really where this could shake up a lot.
It's lone nominee city out here.
Yeah.
Out here, Brian.
Right.
It's like a weather report. We're like the weather consultant.
Yeah, as we'll talk about, a lot of these contenders could be the only nominee for their movie, which is a dangerous place to be, right?
For everybody. And I would reject anybody who says that anybody who is gunning to be the lone nominee right now is safe.
Well, there's one person I think is pretty safe who's a lone nominee.
But even so, I would argue not completely.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so let's start with one person I think is a lock to be nominated, and that's Mikey Madison for Anora. Are we all on board with that?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, lock. One of two locks, I think.
Yeah,
and do you think she's winning?
So she is my choice right now for Performance of the Year. I thought she was magnificent in that film. Can she win? I think if Anora is really strong this upcoming award season, if it wins a bunch of things, is the frontrunner to win Best Picture at the Oscars, then I think Mikey Madison can win. But what gives me some pause with her is that she is pretty new. And I feel like some Academy members might think, you know what, you're young, this is your first nomination. You don't have to win yet. What do you guys think?
I think that's totally fair, and the only reason why she's at number one for me is I just don't know who else could win. Like, it's really a matter of competition. Like, when I saw Anora, I even thought, like, this isn't going to win any awards. And then I came around to, okay, it could win screenplay. But Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress are all awards I think Anora could very well win. And the only reason is because, like, now we've seen all the movies. Like, everything's here. All the contenders are here. And I'm like, this could just be Mikey Madison sweeping the season. I'm not really sure who else could win.
I think that if Anora takes picture, she's taken actress.
That's the thing.
I know there are some people who will argue that it will go another way, but I just think that in this year where there's no, seemingly there's no other like pick that everybody's gunning for, and especially that's not happening in Best Picture. Like, unless Gascon takes off a lot, then or somebody's overdue narrative really kicks off. Right. I think it's that Mikey Madison will have a big amount of support.
Yeah,
I think there are a lot of people who think that she is, their performance of the year, as you do.
I think at the very least, she's going to take all the critics awards up until she might get Critics' Choice too. And then it's up to the industry or someone else to decide like who the alternative is. And I don't know if we're going to get an alternate. I just don't. Even up to SAG, I could see her winning that.
We might get an alternate. Like, I'm thinking about, Ronan, what if Ronan's narrative kicks off?
Right. Or I think Gascon. I mean, you both are fresh on the movie. Like, what do you want to move to Gascon now?
Yeah, let's go to Carla Sofia Gascon, who I right now have in second place, if not second, definitely third. You guys bring up a good point. Like, can she win for this? I mean, Amelia Perez is going to do well in other categories like picture, like the other acting categories, supporting actress. But right now, for that performance, I thought she was very good in the movie. I can't see that winning right now. What do you think?
I was before I saw the movie, I was prepared to put her at number one because I don't think Madison's some kind of slam dunk. But after seeing the movie, I'm like, I really loved her in the movie and she was my favorite performance there. But it just didn't give me a winning vibe. I don't know if Mikey Madison has that either, but like, if her movie's picture, then there you go. I mean, but with either of these movies, if they won Best Picture, I think they'd just come along. I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I think she's definitely locked, but
Yeah, I mean the character in the film is wrestling with a lot, so I could see there being a narrative that she's working with more than Mikey Madison, perhaps. Just because there's like the whole past and the present identity and like her relationship with her daughter and her ex. Like there's just a lot to play with for her. But I also didn't get the impression that she would win. I thought maybe she could take off and be a Best Actress contender. At the time, I didn't know Amelia Perez was like, I would be predicting it for 10 nominations, whatever I'm predicting it for. But, so I do wonder if maybe her being both older than Mikey Madison and also, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that could give her an edge, but I still think I would have Mikey Madison at number 1.
yeah. Also a bit of a newcomer too, though. So
Yeah, both kind of new, fresh faces for people.
Right. Until this year, nobody really knew Madison or Gascon. I mean, Madison is in some things like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Scream 5 and things, but like neither one is overdue. If either one was a previous nominee, then I'd say they probably have this in the bag. But Gascon could pull like the favorite, Olivia Colman. Like if both Gomez and Saldana get into supporting actress, and Amelia Perez doesn't look like it's going to win anywhere else, like maybe enough voters who adore the movie will say, I am giving my vote to Gascon and actress. That could happen too.
Yeah, especially SAG, I think she has a chance to. That's her best chance, I think.
Yeah, I think Amelia Perez is gonna win an acting award. I think it's probably more likely in supporting actress when we get there, but I do see some Oscar wins for this movie. So
yeah, I'm curious to see, will Enora compete at Golden Globes in drama or musical comedy? Because it's very funny. I feel like it could go either way. And if Madison wins there in comedy or musical, then maybe Gascon can win in drama or something. But Amelia Perez also has musical elements, so I don't know what Golden Globes are going to do with this.
I think Amelia Perez has got to be in the musical category because
so?
it's because it's just, like a musical never plays in drama, and we could talk about A Star Is Born, which I guess that's sort of a rule break there. That's a rule break.
It's
Yeah,
a little different though.
So maybe like that'd be pretty risky though.
But that's characters singing songs they wrote, which is just different.
Yeah,
than
it's sort of
the
different.
spontaneous bursting out into musical. I think they'll both. I think that's going to be a really interesting early in the year showdown.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Enora though is that even though I saw it and I was like, that's a comedy. Like there's so many slapstick elements. It's just the whole second act is like just totally plays as comedy. But the trailer indicated that they're just campaigning it like it's a drama, like it's some coming of age, like romance. And maybe because they want that perception, they'll go into drama. So I think they're going to compete in the same category at Golden Globe, but and that would give us some insight, but it's possible they're split.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Now, this is not a two-person race by any means. You mentioned Saoirse Ronan for the Outrun. How are we feeling about that? I was, for a few months, thinking, oh, that might not happen, but she is doing a ton of press for that movie. She's at a bunch of film festivals. She got an award at Telluride. I think overseas she's been doing some stuff at festivals there. So I am feeling pretty good right now that Ronan will get into Best Actress for the Outrun, especially because she is phenomenal in that movie. What do we think?
I was a total denier up until I think about a month ago where I was thinking, man, a lot of people are dropping and there are just so many lone actor nominees potentially here that she has gotten into my top 5. And I think it's a very reasonable pick for someone in your top 5.
I think Sony Pictures Classics is very much trying to make this happen.
Yeah,
And
she couldn't be with a
Saoirse
better
Ronan's making
studio.
this happen, and
Yeah.
I think they're trying to get a win conversation going. And I think that, so yeah, I definitely have her in right now. I don't think she's necessarily locked, but I don't know. I kind of surprised.
I'm kind of wondering if the win thing could take off because I didn't see the Outrun as being like some of the other films where they win for the lone nomination. And I thought maybe it could be more like Glenn Close's attempt where the movie, people weren't that excited about the movie. And so like it actually didn't work because I don't know, maybe people didn't even see Glenn Close as the wife. But The other lone nominees are often like biopic, huge makeup nominated performances, and hers is like super. It's more like a still Alice, honestly. I think that's what you'd have to compare it to, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Are you hot on, maybe she could win?
I think Blitz is going to help her. Like, if Blitz is a good movie, it doesn't even have to be great. She doesn't even have to get in at the Oscars for Blitz. But if it's a good film and people really respond to it in November, December, and then they get around to the Outrun and think, my God, she has 4 Oscar nominations. This is one of her best performances in the Outrun. She could get that Julianne Moore, Still Alice awards train going. If nobody can really decide, like, do we give our trophy to Madison or Gascon or someone else? I do feel like Saoirse Ronan could slip in there and basically like sweep the season. That could happen.
It might be her 6th nomination too, if she gets in for Blitz and the Outrun. And I think that it would help if she was nominated for both.
Well, some of the major trades are predicting that she's going to win for this. Like, a lot of them, actually.
I think if you look at the history of when actors are double nominated, so far they've only won for films that have been in Best Picture, which is not to say she couldn't win for the Outrun, but I mean, maybe there's a chance she wins for Blitz. I do feel like maybe her not being as veteran, like, she's been nominated a bunch of times, but she's still not like,
she's 30.
Julianne Moore's age that she was. Yeah, she's still 30. So maybe there's no urgency. I don't think that there's much doubt that if she keeps going, she'll get one eventually.
Yeah.
So I think that she could. Yeah. So I'm predicting. I think somebody in Best Picture may be stronger.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a hard one to say. I would say there's a possibility, though. I wasn't really open to it before, and I also didn't like love the Outrun, so I might be biased in this way. Like, maybe other people just connect to that movie more than I do, but yeah, I'm gonna predict the nomination at this point.
It would be pretty wild if she got in for both the Outrun and Blitz, and then she loses to like Mikey Madison. Like,
Saoirse Ronan 2 Oscars like, really? On the same night.
Yeah.
Maybe, you make a really good point, though. If losing 2 Oscars on the same night might feel a little too sad, but hey, a lot of that kind of thing happens where people are like, hey, it's too sad for Banshees to lose all his Oscars, and then, that stuff happens. So,
yeah. Like, I feel like Ronan would have to win Golden Globe and SAG. She would have to get both, and then I would feel better. If she, let's say, only gets Golden Globe, but then, like, Madison wins SAG, then I'll be like, oh, might not happen for Ronan, but we will see. How do you guys feel about Angelina Jolie for Maria? Is that still happening? Is she probably getting in at the Oscars?
Well, we haven't seen the movie yet, but
right,
I think that's a pretty good bet. I have her at 3, I think. I won't call her an absolute lock. I mean, from everything I've heard, the performance is there. It's Beatty. But, as we've seen, like, if you're the lone nomination for your movie, and, maybe it gets costumes or something, but, it's no guarantee, especially for a film that's a bit isolating, as this probably will be.
Well, it's a little bit of a polarizing watch, but I've heard really good things, and I think you had Luke Hierfeld on your show, and listening to that, I trust that she's got the goods, where it's the kind of performance that you're talking about. Man, could that even get her another Oscar? Could she even win for this? I think it's such a strong and transformative and showy performance with the voice and the body language that I couldn't in good conscience not say this is going to get nominated. I think, like, maybe there's a little way where it could not get in, but it's probably going to happen. I'm pretty confident about that.
Yeah, having not seen the movie yet, just based on Pablo Larraín, his last 2 movies, getting his leading ladies into the Oscars, and Jolie's, she's won before. She was nominated for Changeling. It's been a while for her at the Oscars. I feel like she's very appreciated in the industry, and she's playing a real-life person. Even if the movie has been kind of divisive, I feel like she's probably getting in.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's 4. So now we have some other potential contenders.
It might get contentious here. I know who you have, actually. I'm going to guess you have Nicole Kidman and Babygirl.
Oh yeah.
which I would love to happen because we both saw that together.
Yes.
And I'm really high on Babygirl. I love that film, and I think Nicole Kidman is incredible. If only there were like 3 performances that will get nominated. Like, I would like to see Banderas and Harrison nominated too, but they probably won't happen. I think it's just Kidman or bust. But
Yeah.
I love her in the film, but go ahead.
Yeah, so Kidman is my 5th place slot here. I am a little bit nervous about her because the movie hasn't received like a rapturous reception from some. I loved it, and I thought it was her best performance since Rabbit Hole 14 years ago. I just think she goes for broke in that movie, and it was so thrilling to see her in a very good film giving an outstanding performance the way she does. And it's like she got in for being the Ricardos in Lion. She can't get in for Babygirl. So I don't know, but it's tricky if Babygirl does not show up anywhere else, does not get into like supporting actor, does not get into screenplay or anything. She is in a vulnerable spot there. Do you guys think Nicole Kidman can do it?
I think she can. I definitely am flirting with the idea of putting her in my 5. The movie is a little risque, but I imagine it'll be palatable enough. It's easy enough to watch for Academy members, I think. The only question is maybe people think, it's another great Nicole Kidman performance, and maybe there's just, I don't know, less narrative behind
Less urgency to get nominated for it.
It could be.
It definitely doesn't.
Even though that's not fair. She's obviously
the thing with the other acting contenders here is that they feel more like safe Oscar vehicles. Like Saoirse Ronan in The Outrun playing an addict, and it's like her face the whole time. Babygirl is not a film that's tailor-made for Oscar voters. I mean, the thing is a little, it's taking risks story-wise. Nicole Kidman's character is not necessarily like likable. You don't know if you're on her side, but you're also like, wow, where the hell is this thing going? Who is this person? And there's so much sex in it, and she goes there. So that, I think that kind of performance does usually distance the Academy, but also the Academy Awards their membership is more young and progressive. Like maybe there's, Emma Stone winning for Poor Things last year. Maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves
right now
to say that counts against.
Who do you have at number 1 right now?
I know, and I'm thinking about Mikey Madison, who's also there's a lot of sex there. So
yeah,
I don't know if I can knock it for that. I'm trying to figure out is it fair to say that she has a worse chance for Babygirl because of this subject matter?
I just think the question
maybe
is
it's not.
Does the movie seem like something that shows up at the Oscars? And it's
Right.
like,
really.
may not.
But it's also like it's Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, that's
I mean, the fact that you have Nicole Kidman, Angelina Jolie, Saoirse Ronan, Amy Adams, like huge heavy hitters of the Oscars, have all been nominated a bunch of times. Like, it's kind of insane that they're all in the race this year. But you know, Nicole Kidman is also snubbed for a movie called Destroyer, but I think that was much less liked. So I think it does depend on how splashy the movie is when it comes out.
Yeah, I saw Destroyer. As a movie, it's not very good. She's very impressive in it, but I remember it being kind of a hard sit, whereas Babygirl, I just thought was a fantastic film.
Yeah.
So
it's an easy sit too,
Yeah, I'm crossing my fingers. I hope that happens. So some other contenders, you just mentioned Amy Adams' Night Bitch. I know you guys enjoyed the movie more than I did. Do you still feel like she has a good shot of getting the Oscar nomination?
I have no clue. I came out being like, hey, maybe like she will win after all. But most people I talk to are sort of indifferent as to whether or not she gets in. And a lot of people think she's deserving. But I guess I could extend what I said about Nicole Kidman, which is, I don't know, maybe it feels like yet another good Amy Adams performance. But I guess Amy Adams has that factor where, you know, she's still owed an Oscar eventually. But it could be one of those things where because people maybe, you know that she's not going to win for it really, truly deep down, that maybe there's no point to nominating her again. Although I think that the performance, it does stand out. Like in her body of work, I feel that it does really stand out and she's doing something different. And, you know, the whole movie it hinges on her expression of, you know, the trials of motherhood. And she represents the movie very well as its nomination.
Yeah.
So
she also plays
yeah.
a relatable character who I think is called Mother. Like, that's the character's name. And so it also, I think, depends on how seen you feel when you watch this film if you're a parent. So watching her and feeling like, wow, Amy Adams is like representing me is very powerful. And I'm simply put, I'm not talking to many mothers at film festivals who have seen Night Bitch. I don't think I've talked to a single mother who has seen it, but I think there are more mothers in the Academy, even though it is male dominated.
The acting branch is probably
more parents,
more female.
So maybe there's a chord that movie and that performance could strike. Although there are elements to the film that are just putting people off, and it seems like those are dominating the conversation more than like her performance, which is unfortunate. So I don't think she's gonna win. And I do think, you know, if I'm being objective about it, Saoirse Ronan probably has a better shot of taking that win. And Adams is kind of on the chopping block because that movie, like, the conversation around it is not excellent. It's not great. I just wonder if it could change maybe when other people see it, but it's iffy. It's iffy, right? I don't know. What do you think about that one? Are you like, man, I don't see it at all?
No, I do see it, because even though I wasn't super high on the film, she's very good in it, and it's been a while since her last Oscar nomination for Vice. This is her best performance, I would say, since Sharp Objects. Like, she's very good in the movie. It's Searchlight, bringing it out in December. That's a good release for this from that distributor. So it'll all depend on, like, does the movie do okay at the box office? Are the reviews in December pretty strong? I think no matter what, she probably gets a Golden Globe nomination. And
Everyone's getting the Golden Globe nomination.
Yeah, it felt like a very SAG-friendly performance, too. Like, she got into SAG for Hillbilly Elegy. Remember that guy? She got in for Hillbilly Elegy at SAG.
Oh, I remember.
I think that she would probably get SAG for it.
Yeah,
I think she's going to be very close.
I think for Arrival, she got in almost everywhere, and then she missed the Oscars. It might be a case where she gets in almost everywhere for Night Bitch, but then she misses the Oscar nomination.
Yeah, my theory is, like, I could see Amy Adams getting in most places. I mean, I'm just looking at people and I'm like, okay, Nicole Kidman could be like lone critic's choice, and everybody gets into Golden Globe this year is how I'm seeing it. Amy Adams could get into SAG and then miss like BAFTA and maybe even miss Critics' Choice. You know, Baptiste, maybe, like, if she gets BAFTA, then she could be looking like that person that could kind of squeeze in and take out somebody who made SAG. Like, you know, Amy Adams is kind of, the vibes are that she makes SAG and could miss Oscar for a more criticky performance is sort of my suspicion.
I'm still going to have Amy Adams at number 5 because I'm being a little stubborn about it. But also, like, there's just something about that performance that I really loved and I thought might connect with people in a personal way. So I'm keeping her in for that. And also that she did enough. But I'm not convinced about it. Like, it's just a sort of thing where I have to go off of a hunch because I don't know what else to do. It's my number 5. But the other one I'm considering is Baptiste.
Yeah. So as of right now, I would have Adams in 7th place, and I would have Marianne Jean-Baptiste in 6th. I think Marianne Jean-Baptiste gives a frickin' amazing performance in Hard Truths, even though I didn't love the movie. Like, that was a big performance in a Mike Leigh movie. She's been nominated before for Secrets and Lies. And I feel like even if Marianne Jean-Baptiste only gets in at, like, Golden Globes and BAFTA, like, if she can just place, I feel like she could be the surprise on Oscar nominations morning in Best Actress. What do you think?
I totally agree with that assessment too. Like, I think it's Golden Globe, BAFTA, and BAFTA, she's really a strong contender for the nomination there. And then at that point, it's her, she could be the surprise in that category. And it wouldn't even be that surprising, right? Because she would have the BAFTA. I think critics are going to go hard on her performance. Like, they're going to nominate her, but Critics' Choice might not, because they're kind of lame like that.
Well, normally.
I think Baptiste should be nominated for this. I would love to see it. And it would feel kind of right, because the Academy Awards does go outside the box a little bit sometimes.
She has a very good narrative, and she does enough. The movie, I think, outside of critics who are always going to bat for Mike Leigh, I think the movie could be a little to some people. Like, it starts out and it's a riot, and then by the end you're like, oh, I didn't really know if this was the movie. I didn't know this was going to be that kind of movie. So I think that's the thing that maybe hurts it is the movie may not.
It's not really a
be
cozy
smash
movie
for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, my big thing is that it's being distributed by Bleecker Street, right? And they have not had
Also
success
that.
at the Oscars before, right? Didn't they have
Yeah.
Mass in 2021?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I want to say, and that didn't go anywhere at the Oscars. Bleecker Street being behind it gives me pause. Like, if it was Sony Pictures Classics, if it was A24 or something, I'd feel more confident. But not to say that should mean that you don't get in at the Oscars based on who's distributing the movie. But I think that would be really cool if she got in. I don't know who she pushes out. I guess maybe Kidman, but we'll see what happens. One other international performance I wanted to highlight is Fernanda Torres in I'm Still Here. It was just announced today that is Brazil's choice to go international feature at the Oscars. And I feel like Best Actress is just way too crowded for that to happen. I don't know if you guys saw I'm Still Here at Toronto, but I did. And she was
I saw
great.
it.
She was heartbreaking in that movie, and she's in almost the whole thing until the very end. And I had some, like, Best Actress feels for her in that movie. What do we think?
I don't buy that she would get nominated for it, even though she was very good in the film. But I also, to be totally upfront, like, I didn't love the movie. I thought it was just okay. So I wasn't, like, riding high on it. Maybe other people feel better about the movie, and therefore that performance sticks with them more. But I was really looking out for her as a potential spoiler, and left the film thinking, I don't really think I have to worry too much about that, even though she's great. I do hear a lot of buzz about the performance. I just don't think it will pan out.
Yeah. She's the daughter of Fernanda Montenegro, who was nominated for Central Station in the 90s, and she's in the movie at the end. So, I don't know. I feel like there could be a narrative for her. I just feel like there's too much competition, ultimately.
Right. It could happen if there was less people, yeah.
Right. If it was a different year and we only had like 3 really strong contenders. So I have about 5 other names here. Nobody, I think, really has a significant shot. Like Florence Pugh, I thought was really good in We Live in Time, but outside of maybe Golden Globes, I don't see that going anywhere. Zendaya in Challengers, I thought that was a fantastic performance, but the movie came out too early in the year. Demi Moore would be an inspired Oscar nomination for The Substance, but that's not going to happen, let's be honest. When I walked out of Room Next Door at TIFF, I thought Tilda Swinton is close to a lock for Best Supporting Actress, but she is apparently campaigning in lead. I don't think Julianne Moore has a shot. It's just not that kind of performance. But Tilda Swinton is very good in that film. Do you think she has even the slightest chance of getting into Best Actress at the Oscars?
There are a lot of people who are running hard with the Golden Lion thing, and who think that Room Next Door is an across-the-board contender. And I just think, like, when you see it, you understand that it just doesn't make sense to get into Best Picture. And even compared to Almodovar's last 2 films, the overall response in this movie is just more muted. It just is that it's not top tier. And there are people who thought Parallel Mothers and Pain and Glory were like some of his best films. I'm not seeing that from most people. I think there's a chance because there is a track record of lead nominations for his films, and maybe she can muster up a Golden Globe and BAFTA combo, I guess. But I don't know. I don't think so. I think, yeah.
I just don't think so. I think there would have been a chance in supporting actress, and they kind of killed it. I think they killed the chance. But it is the correct thing to do, because they're both leads, and they're both in the whole movie, so...
And then the last one on my list, Cynthia Erivo in Wicked. Are we sleeping on that? Can that happen?
We might be. I think that if you look at who likes to nominate things in musicals, it's Critics' Choice and it's SAG. And obviously Golden Globes. Like, she might get into all 3. And that's very possible. Like, when you really sit down to think about it, it's like, okay, there's a real chance for that. I think that the Oscar is a much harder, barrier to get in, especially with, their mere 5 slots. So I think she could get close and definitely be in the conversation, but I think she would probably come up short.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious what the reception around Wicked is, and there's a lot of buzz because people are fans of the musical, but I think there's a real scenario where the movie comes out and, it's not, I don't know. You think the movie should just be not that big of a deal to people? Like, I know that people are buzzing it up because they want it to be good, but like, maybe it's just fine.
It's probably gonna be fine.
It's a part one.
People don't even love the musical. I don't know.
People love it. People are.
Well, I think it's going to be a huge hit at the box office, regardless of whether it's good or great or whatever. I think what hurts Arrivo most. I think what hurts Arrivo the most is that it's part 1 of 2. If it was one big 2.5-hour movie, it's just one movie Wicked, I would feel stronger about her. But that kind of Kill Bill situation, splitting it into 2 movies, like it hurt Uma Thurman. Like I think she could have gotten in for that film if it had been one movie. I think that might hurt Arrivo here too. But I feel like because she's a previous nominee, we need to keep her in the conversation. Anyone else I didn't mention that you guys think could be a contender?
I think Pamela Anderson for The Last Showgirl, there's something there. I think the movie doesn't have distribution still.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say, who's even the distributor?
That very well may just be like an April release or something. But she was great in it, and there's a narrative there. So I think that's worth having. I have her maybe in my 10. Maybe.
I don't have her in the 10. I think the movie's a little too slight. I just didn't think there was that much there. I mean, her performance is good, but it wasn't like perfect to me either.
Like, but Jennifer Aniston in Cake, perhaps, is the.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think so
either.
But one thing I think we should address in just a little more detail is Demi Moore in the Substance, or Demi Moore in the Substance, because people are really talking about it. They're trying to make it happen, and I don't believe it's going to happen ultimately. So spoiler, but. Not just because, like, Toni Collette didn't get nominated for Hereditary, and that was egregious.
Or Lupita in Us.
Right, Lupita in Us. And she got, like, Critics' Choice nominated, and SAG. So there's, like, a history of these brutal snubs. Like, Lupita in Us, that was kind of nuts. And in this performance doesn't strike me as, like, it's gonna break that barrier. I think she's great in it, but I don't know if it's... It would have to be, like, earth-shattering to get in, and she's great in it, but it didn't strike me like that, and I love The Substance. I mean, you saw it, and you were like, man, people are really saying that's gonna get nominated, like, that. I don't think it's gonna break that barrier.
I think some people are looking at the makeup possibility, and I don't know. Not seeing
Running too hard with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People can try. She should try.
She is in my 10, though, and the reason she's in my 10 is because her campaign is strong. She has that career narrative going on, and people are like, oh my god, I've never seen Demi Moore better, and I'm glad that she's back. And they're really campaigning her hard. Like, all I'm seeing is just articles on her body of work, and her talking about the film, and what it means to her, and her own relationship with aging and beauty, and all that stuff. That's very important, and for that alone, like, I do think she has a strong campaign, and in that way, she maybe does have a leg up on some of those other horror performances.
Yeah, I mean, some things against her. She's not in the whole movie, right? Like, some of it goes to Margaret Qualley.
Right.
That hurts her chances a little. And I think the last, 10 minutes of the movie, I don't think Academy members will be able to look through that. That's just me. I don't know.
I mean, turning it off, or maybe, like, walking out, or having to
it's a crowd
just
pleaser.
Stop the film altogether. Like, it's a really hard sell. I
respect
people for trying, but
they're gonna have to watch it so they can give it makeup.
That's true.
I always talk about Toni Collette in Hereditary, and people are like, she's like sawing off her head at the end, like up on the ceiling. I'm like, well, if that couldn't get in, like the ending of The Substance, it's not looking good for you, Demi. But I'm hoping she gets in somewhere, like gets in at Golden Globes, or gets a surprise Critics' Choice, or like somewhere she shows up. That would be cool. But I don't see that. So let's end with our early predictions. Best Actress. My list is in alphabetical order by last name: Carla Sofia Gascon, Amelia Perez, Angelina Jolie, Maria, Nicole Kidman, Babygirl, Mikey Madison, Honora, and Saoirse Ronan, The Outrun.
All right. I got Mikey Madison, Carla Sofia Gascon, Angelina Jolie, Saoirse Ronan, Amy Adams.
I have the same, but I'm so like tempted to try to early call the Baptiste over Adams, but I'm gonna go with the same thing as you.
So you guys dropped Kidman for Adams?
I have Kidman at 7.
I have Kidman at 6.
All right, let's talk about Best Actor. Lots of contenders to go through here. I'm going to start with Adrien Brody for The Brutalist. I think he can win for that. What do we think?
Oh, yeah. I think it's huge. It just struck me as that's going to win. And I've been like saying that Coleman Domingo is going to win all year, and I would love to see Coleman Domingo win. So I was like hoping for it and predicting it. And then I saw The Brutalist, and I thought like, man, I think that's got to be it. So I had a very strong reaction of like, that's going to take the Oscar.
Yeah, I think, not every time the best performance wins, but this is like, it's just the performance where I just think he is the best that I'm going to see. That's up for this category. And there's a lot of good performances in here, but that just strikes me as, man, that can definitely win. And, he may have an Oscar already. I don't
it only
see
helps him
a huge issue that he could go 2 for 2 here.
No.
And there's an interesting connection between this performance and the performance that he won for so long ago. And he also hasn't even been nominated in that entire gap between. Like, it's a really good welcome back moment for him, too.
Yeah, the narrative is looking great because of what you just said about that. It kind of makes a full circle out of his body of work. And there was an article that dropped, like the first thing anyone heard about The Brutalist was Adrien Brody is in this movie and he's great. That Vanity Fair article. And I can just see it.
Yeah, it's the strongest movie, I think, of these Best Actor contenders. And the fact that he's already won, it's so long ago. I mean, as we just learned with Emma Stone, that doesn't really factor in. If people really love the performance, even if they already have an Oscar, they will give you another one. And someone said yesterday, which I thought was interesting, if Nicole Kidman were to win Best Actress for Babygirl, it would be a repeat of both from early 2003. Both Best Actor and Best Actress. They could both be in contention here. I just think Brody's in almost the entire movie. It is such a dazzling performance. I feel like The Brutalist is going to be in contention in picture and director for sure. So, he's going to be the front runner, I think, all season. He's going to have to miss something big early on for me to drop him from number 1. My number 2 is Ralph Fiennes for Conclave. What do you guys think about that?
I think he's a lock to be nominated because Conclave is looking great as Best Picture nominee. It's got a bunch of categories it can get in. He carries the film. He's like the best performance in it in an ensemble where everybody's great. And that character has a lot going on. Like there's a lot of internal struggle. I just don't think it's going to win. So even if Brody didn't win, I still don't think I would think it's Ralph Fiennes winning.
Ralph Fiennes is the most overdue of everybody for an Oscar that's going to be nominated probably. And there's been chatter over like the last decade, probably since Budapest Hotel, about like, why doesn't this guy have an Oscar yet? But I think the performance is too subtle and internal. That's,
Right.
So I don't see it winning, but...
I mean, he does have at least 2 emotional scenes in the film where he's crying, and he's the definite protagonist. Like, he's all over that thing. I feel like Academy members are really going to go nuts for Conclave. I could see that getting, 7+ nominations in a bunch of categories. And because of his overdue narrative, I wouldn't count him out. But you're right, it is kind of an internal performance. Can he actually win for that? We will have to see. But I think he's 100% locked for a nomination at least.
Yeah.
And then, guys, Sing Sing never came to my town. So I still haven't seen it.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my god, wait, what the hell?
Yeah,
you didn't know that? I knew that.
I didn't know you were in a Sing Sing desert.
Sing desert.
So I mean, we get independent films here all the time. Dee Dee played in 2 theaters here a few weeks ago. but we couldn't get Sing Sing. Like, what happened with
Yeah.
A24?
It's like
me
inexcusable. Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
it should.
yeah.
It probably should. Yeah. I
Like,
mean, to be
the
fair, like the Academy is all bunched up in LA, and I think there will be some kind of revival campaign with Sing Sing, where some people are sounding the alarms and saying this movie has so little buzz that it can't even get nominated. I think that there can be a revival campaign. It seems like A24 is planning on making that happen. Coda was obviously a good playbook for that. But yeah, I think it definitely hurts that the movie couldn't make a splash, and something that it shows is that there's not this inherent interest for it. So even with the revival campaign, we still have to convince voters that the movie is one of the must-sees of the year. So it's an obstacle that makes me more skeptical about it winning.
Yeah, it just feels...
So,
oh, go for it.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it feels strange to me if A24 didn't have confidence in bringing it out all across the country at some point, given that it opened, I think, in July and limited. That makes me wonder, are they going to give it a big push for awards when they have, like, The Brutalist? That just gives me some pause
Yes. Especially with The Brutalist being here, right? Because even if they didn't get Sing Sing in, they'd have a very strong presence with another contender. And it would, it's only last year that A24 got 2 nominations in Best Picture. Like, this is a small studio like theirs getting multiple nominations is rare. And so, I am predicting Sing Sing to get nominated still, because it fits well into the 10. I don't think there's quite enough to kick it out. And it is the kind of film that when people see it, they want to throw awards at it and throw awards at the performers. I don't have faith in A24 anymore because of how that release went, but apparently their word is that they're going to give it a second life, like they're going to try.
Okay.
But they also, you could say they tried here, but I would not consider this first release as trying very hard. Like, it doesn't feel just to me that the film didn't play in as many theaters and that there are people eager to see it who did not get the chance to. Like, it doesn't feel just. So I don't know how that's definitely affecting my predictions. But if you do see the film, it's so obvious that Coleman Domingo and his co-star are just dazzling in it, and that they're awards contending performances. So I have faith that they'll still get in, and that critics will put them into their top 5s, and that Critics' Choice will continue nominating Sing Sing for Best Picture. I think it will hopefully get into SAG, and that'll be enough that by the time the Oscars come around, people will know it's a thing. That film would have benefited from coming out during award season. I don't know.
Right. It almost feels like they should have just held it to December and then brought it out then and let it just kind of play throughout award season. I don't know what their strategy was bringing it out in July. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But even if the movie underperforms, I still think Coleman Domingo gets into Best Actor, especially because, unlike Best Actress, Best Actor does have some wiggle room here. It's not overly competitive, at least right now. So I do think Domingo...
Totally agree.
Yeah, Domingo gets in second year in a row after Rustin.
Yeah. I could be worried about him if there were more movies and contenders in this category. But there's not, and I actually do think there's still a chance he could win. But the path is absolutely narrowed because of The Brutalist. I mean, they're the same studio. So, yeah.
So those are my top 3, and then I have a few people circling 4 and 5. I know we haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm pretty certain Timothée Chalamet is going to be nominated for A Complete Unknown. Do you guys agree with that?
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be hard to say that he wouldn't. It would have to be a pretty big flop for that not to happen.
Right.
I mean, obviously some music biopics like Rocket Man or I Want to Dance with Somebody and Respect didn't go anywhere, but with James Mangold and Searchlight behind this one just feels like it's supposed to do more than that. I mean, I don't think it's going to have the same fate as a Bob Marley One Love. The movie, I don't know. It's
also all the movies you just mentioned, the actors haven't been nominated before.
Yeah,
so
Timmy's a little bigger of a deal. It'll probably be more successful than those movies too, although they did do well.
And
Yeah,
they're blitzing the award. They're blitzing the Oscar race by that with that December release date. So it's also just not that crowded. Like, it's really hard to not have him in here.
But if the movie is mid, what if the reception around him is that he's just good?
I think people will still be
what if-
duped into the whole thing of like, oh, he's playing this person and he's doing a voice.
Maybe they do like the voice.
Even if
they like the singing.
I think if people say he's bad in it, it's going to be critics are talking about that, and then everyone else is like, just, oh, it's Timothy and he's doing this thing, and they'll like it anyway.
Probably, yeah.
I think him also having Dune Part 2 helps, right? Like, that's going to get into picture, and I don't know if that movie gets any acting nominations, but Chalamet, people will be looking at both movies during award season, so in a not-so-crowded field in Best Actor, I think it's pretty certain he's getting in. And then 5th place is like a total free-for-all. I have an idea. You guys saw Queer at TIFF, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, do we think Daniel Craig can get in for Queer? Because I don't.
You don't think
What do
he
we think?
can?
You also saw it, right?
I just did not really take to
we
the
all
second
talked
half
about
of
it
that
after,
movie.
I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
We were all like chatting really late at night about this.
like, I'm really on the fence with him. I feel like if there's just 4 contenders, anyone really can take slot 5, then maybe. But I just feel like that movie is going to be so divisive in the months to come. And he's not, like, extraordinary in the film. He's good. I didn't think there was anything really special about what he does in that. So it's possible, but I'm not feeling it right now. I don't know.
I disagree a bit that there's no that
Okay.
I feel like the performance is special, but I also didn't see it as the sort of baity performance that maybe people thought they were getting. Even though it is a big performance in many ways, I think his path it looks okay in that he really can get BAFTA as a British man, as their James Bond. He can get a Critics' Choice because they have 6 slots. He will not get SAG. I just know that's true. Like, but he may get Critics' Choice because they also have 6. And I think that I feel like he's gonna be floating on that 5-6 slot, and people don't really know if he'll make that last minute leap in there off of the BAFTA nomination over the more populist pick, whether that's Sebastian Stan or Paul Mescal. Like, I think there's a real chance that he'll be that kind of nominee, but I do agree that the movie overall, it doesn't even feel like a Maria or something where it's like, well, he can still, stay in there. It's like, no, the movie may sour everything because it is just that strange at times. Even though I like the movie.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's possible. I just feel like enough people might sour on that second half to, where there's not enough passion. You just mentioned his name. For slot number 5, I am kind of leaning toward Paul Mescal for Gladiator 2. Do we think he has a chance?
Do you have that in picture?
Well, I haven't seen it yet, but given that the
Okay.
first movie did as well as it did, I feel like Gladiator 2 has a pretty good shot of getting into picture, maybe even director for Scott.
Mm-hmm.
They're certainly gearing up a massive awards campaign for Gladiator 2, and they're projecting a lot of confidence in it. Like, the little word I've heard from people who talk to studios are like, oh, they want Ridley Scott to get director for this movie. And I honestly just don't buy it. Like, I watched the new trailer that came out today, and I was just like, this is a pure action film. It's not trying to be serious. It's just trying to be like, holy shit, monkeys and rhinos, and like, wow, look at this, how brutal these fights were. And I don't see that character that Paul Mescal is playing as being that deep or developed. Like, there's a little bit of like a my father thing, but it seems a little too basic. I just think the movie's a little too basic, and I don't see him standing out enough in the role. It doesn't strike me as a performance that would get nominated. Even if Gladiator 2 gets Best Picture, which I'm open to the fact that it could get in a year of like 10 when it's not that crowded, I still am skeptical that Paul Mescal would make it into the 5. And I don't know, I mean, maybe I see the movie and change my mind, but I've always felt that way about that performance, that people aren't going to talk that much about it.
Yeah, I just feel like he's a previous nominee for After Sun. You know, the first film did very well at the Oscars. It won Best Picture. You know, won Best Actor for Russell Crowe. So if Gladiator 2 is just really good, not even great necessarily, and nobody knows what to do with slot 5 in Best Actor, like, it's possible. But you're right, I'm not confident about it at all. I have to see the movie first. And then some other names here, like Andrew Garfield, I thought was strong in We Live in Time, but that's not going to be an Oscar movie. Cillian Murphy is back in Small Things Like These, which I don't know much about. I don't know if you've seen that yet, but I've seen his name on some lists, and, you know, he just won, so you never know. And then Joaquin Phoenix for Joker 2, and John David Washington for The Piano Lesson. I don't see any of those going forward. Is there somebody we haven't mentioned yet in slot 5 that you're feeling good about?
So I'm comfortable putting Craig in at number 5 and just calling it a day if this movie doesn't pan out. But I think I'm really 50-50 between him. I'm really 50-50 between Craig and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. And I think I'm the only one who's seen The Apprentice. The release and the buzz it's going to catch are a big question mark. But I think we can't underestimate that it could do well at the box office, because the CNN heads might not be able to resist. And that's like a lot of the US.
The movie that Trump doesn't want you to see.
Right. There's like a really good reason to get people into the theater to see it. But I also don't know what the heck Briarcliff is doing with the release, because they went on Kickstarter panhandling for money. Like, I really don't get this. Yeah, they said, you know, they made a Kickstarter campaign that was like, let's release The Apprentice, as though it's not going to come out. Like, release The Apprentice, and Trump doesn't want you to see this. And we need money, we need to raise funds for, I guess, the marketing of the film. I'm not really sure. Or maybe it just costs money to put it in theaters. So the release is sort of question mark for me. Like, if it goes into a wide release and it feels like, oh my god, this movie's just happening, people are seeing it, people are liking it, then Sebastian Stan gives a nomination-worthy performance here. Like, he's really good in it, really impressive. And I'm just waiting for people to see the movie, because it feels like The Apprentice, it doesn't exist. And that it's just sort of like this theoretical, like, movie that could happen. But once it becomes a reality, I think that could definitely get in there for Best Actor. And when I saw it at Cannes, I was like, that's going to get Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor. Like, that's just going to happen.
Well, it seems to me that when after Cannes, everybody was ready to predict at least a lone Best Actor nomination for the film. And then it went through everything, and now that it's out on the other side, and it has made it, and there's a release planned, I feel like people are just very comfortable with, you know, oh, well, I liked it better when it was just kind of like over there. Like, I don't want it to think
that's true, but if it had a major studio behind it, people wouldn't feel that way.
You don't think so?
I think it's the fact that it struggled so much to get that distribution.
The Briarcliff thing is like the main guy behind it ran Spotlight's campaign, which also was not produced by a major studio. And it's him who's trying to turn this into like the awards film. So I think that matters. And
yeah, I think people are having like a hard time, you know, crystal balling with The Apprentice. And I might just hold strong and say I think Stan is that kind of performance. Like, it's good enough. The work is there, and maybe he'll get attention for it. But the other caveat I have is that The Apprentice is a film like that critics are kind of dunking on a bit. And I don't think he's going to do well with critics groups. Because critics groups don't like the unsubtle performances. So it's really,
like him a lot.
I really think but they might prefer a different man for him. And he might really take off with industry nominations. Like, that's kind of what I see as his path. It would really be more suited to do well in the industry.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm curious to see if the election result in November will affect
that too.
His, awards campaign and trajectory.
Yeah, that matters too.
But having a different man helps too. I think I saw that at Sundance. He was excellent in A Different Man. So having two really strong performances this year will definitely keep him in the conversation. One last name I wanted to throw out. Do we know anything really about Juror Number 2 from Clint Eastwood? I believe it's premiering at AFI at the end of October. And I feel like, I mean, Eastwood directs a lot of people to Oscar nominations. And so I have Nicholas Hoult on here, who is in 3 films this year. He's in that. He's in The Order, which I did not see at TIFF, but I heard he's really good in. And he's in Nosferatu. So I would have Holt somewhere on that list. It's not outside the realm of possibility, I would say. But we have to see the movie.
Yeah, that's a good reminder, because I deleted that one when I thought it wasn't going to come out, and just it's back. So that could maybe happen. Yeah, I'm open to that. It's not a crowded year, so or else I'd throw it away. The other possibility. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The other possibility, we haven't even talked about this, is Here. Do you think Here with Tom Hanks and what's her name?
Robin
Wright could be lead actor contender? Who knows?
Yeah,
we haven't seen it yet. I don't think it's gonna happen either.
Robin Wright looks creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time you have heard that title on the awards contender. I have not brought that up before because I just don't see it. I watched the trailer. Yeah. It's an interesting idea, but I remember I saw the trailer with my family, like everybody was around me, and everyone was like, wait, it's just like all from one perspective in one room for the whole movie? I said, yeah, and they went, no thanks. You know, I feel like there is going to be that reaction from some who don't even want to see it. And then you have like the de-aging effects, which looked weird in the trailer I saw. And Zemeckis has not had a good track record since Flight, basically. That was the last Oscar movie getting in Denzel Washington. So, I mean, anytime Tom Hanks is in a movie, you have to at least like think about it as an Oscar movie. But I don't see it with Here. That would be the shocker of the fall season. Right?
Yeah, sure would. I don't have Here in either, just for Tom Hanks doesn't feel like it would even happen if the movie was good. So, I mean, the collaboration doesn't seem like it's coming out this year, right?
No.
Okay, so that would have been on my list. John David Washington, The Piano Lesson, probably not going to happen. Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix, like, that movie is just about to tank. I mean, it's going to probably make money. Maybe not tank, but the box office projections are actually, like, significantly worse than the first one. So, not only does it have significantly worse buzz, worse reviews, it's also, like, gonna not perform as well. So, like, I think there's just, like, it might be this year's Furiosa, or, I mean, not this year's, but it might be Furiosa all over again. Except that people don't even like it, and they're not even defending it and trying to get it to nominations. Like, it might just die altogether, even though there are some worthy elements, according to those who've seen it, like worthy tech elements. Yes. I'm sure Joaquin Phoenix is delivering a pure Oscar bait performance here, but I just can't put that in. So I'm really between, like, Stan and Craig. And
Yeah, after having this conversation, I shouldn't be so hard on Craig, because if he's not 5th place, he's probably 6th. So I don't know what I'm saying. Like, oh, he's probably not getting in. Like, in this lineup, like, even if he doesn't make it, he will be close, just in terms of there not being a ton of competition here. So, yeah, I forget what I said before. He's on the cusp, maybe. We'll see. But but my early predictions for Best Actor as of right now are Adrian Brody, The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet, A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing, Ray Fiennes, Conclave, and I'm going with Paul Mescal, Gladiator 2. You guys have the top 4, and then you have...
of course, we have the top 4, and then... I don't know, what do you think, Sebastian Stan? Do we go for it?
They nominated Sam Rockwell and Vice. I feel like... It's The Apprentice is more up the Academy's alley than people are giving it credit for.
It might not get Best Picture though. Like, I wouldn't praise it for Best Picture.
That's fine, but like it might even get Jeremy Strong. Like it might be a little more than people think.
Yeah, I'll predict it, and then Craig is my number 6.
Yeah, I have Craig at 6.
Okay, so you both are going with Stan for The Apprentice at number 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so Paul Mescal is like 7 or 8. He's not really on your radar.
He's 7.
He's really low for me.
I don't have him low because I think that if the movie is a big deal and I see more in him in the trailer than you are seeing.
Okay, fair enough.
So, yeah, we shall see. I think those top 4 are pretty solid. I can't see
Very
any
solid.
of them missing, really. And yeah, slot
Yeah.
5 will be the one we keep an eye on. All right, Best Supporting Actress. Let's start with The Brutalist again. I think Felicity Jones is definitely getting a nomination for that. Do you guys agree?
Oh yeah.
She's so fantastic in it too.
Yeah.
So good.
Like, she really steals the second half.
Yeah, I feel like it's weird that we're not talking that much about if she could win. I think a lot of people seem like they're going to accept it as, okay, she'll get nominated again, she's number 3, but I'm kind of like, what is stopping her from being in the win conversation? She's so good.
I think
But
she can
some
win
people
totally.
seem to be like, I see a lot of people who like the movie going, oh, Brody and Pearce, those were the performances. And I'm like, I really, you're overlooking Jones. I thought she was spectacular, so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird that she's not in the first half. And I remember at intermission, I'm like, is she even going to be in this movie? And then she really did a phenomenal job in that second hour and a half or whatever it was. That scene at the end where she's walking through the house was so chilling, so well done. She's a previous nominee for The Theory of Everything. Supporting actress isn't overly competitive right now in terms of like who could win. So if The Brutalist is just everyone's favorite, like on Oscar night, they are just checking that movie's title off the ballot, like going category to category. I think Felicity Jones has what it takes to win there. I think she's definitely getting in.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know about I don't know if she has like a narrative to win. I'd need to see that take shape, but I think she's number 2 actually for me.
Okay. And then Danielle Deadwyler, The Piano Lesson. I was not very hot on that movie. I struggled in that film a lot, but I thought she was very good in it. And I think there's a lot of people who still feel bad that she missed that nomination for Till. And they're going to nominate Piano Lesson somewhere. It's probably going to be Deadwyler, right?
I think it's Deadwyler or bust actually for The Piano Lesson.
Okay.
It's funny how Samuel L. Jackson completely died for that film when people saw it. Like, he's just not. It's not going to happen. But
A lot of reactions.
Deadwyler is by far the best to me. I think she is the clear standout, and she just has an ability that is like beyond everybody else in the film. So I have her in. I have her as the lone nomination for Piano Lesson.
Yeah, I'm just like, if that's the only nomination for The Piano Lesson, can she win? That would be surprising to me.
That's the thing. Is a lot of people are still think she's a win possibility. I just don't really see it with the lone nomination thing. You know, I think The Piano Lesson is, even though I liked the movie, it wasn't that memorable to me for some reason. Except for her.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just not seeing that wins. So yeah, but
Yeah.
she better get nominated.
Right? Could it be another Till and maybe she gets in a few places and then there's just no enthusiasm for the movie and they just don't nominate her at the Oscar?
If you're a lone nominee, can you be safe? Oh,
Never.
I think with the support of Netflix and you know it's another August Wilson thing, like those have done well enough that I think she'll be okay. But
Yeah, watch at the Oscars, they snub Deadwyler, but they nominate Jackson. Wouldn't that be
that's
crazy?
what the Tonys did.
You know, like Judi Dench Belfast kind of a thing. Obviously, that was the same
Oh,
category.
God.
but sometimes they can surprise, right? Someone who's not really a part of the season, and then they go with someone more well-known for the Oscar. And then Amelia Perez is next. Do you guys have both Saldana and Gomez getting in?
I don't know.
Or just one?
I
You don't
did. There was a period where I was like, no, Selena is going to get... I think she'll do well with the award season. I think Netflix is going to go hard for her. She's highly visible. Like, she's in the movie a lot, and she has a lot of fans. So I guess, like, I don't know, maybe that helps somewhere. I think she'll get into SAG. I think she'll get into Golden Globes, perhaps. I don't know, maybe
She'll get
Critics' Choice. That's a lot. I mean, and then maybe I think BAFTA and Academy Awards are just simply a higher bar for her. And I just have a feeling she's not going to clear it. I just have a feeling. Like, kind of like Lady Gaga and House of Gucci, even though it's a totally different film. Maybe that's not fair.
Margot Robbie and Barbie.
Yeah, that's more what I think about it.
I think the Oscars might be a bit harder to get like the pop star in there. Although I do agree that like she's gonna go hard for it. She has been Emmy nominated for like,
Right.
so it's not like she's unproven as an actress either. But I think her performance in the film, she does like cry and scream. It didn't have that strong of an impression on me, I guess. I think the other two, I felt a little more strong about. So yeah, I think she's like such a 5 or 6 for me right now.
Yeah, it's just, like coming out of that movie, I said, I think Saldana is pretty safe in supporting actress. Gomez, I don't know. I wasn't as affected by Gomez's performance, but I do think supporting actress is kind of open right now. It's not like we have like 8, 9, like really good contenders and we have to figure it out. Like as I'll go through these other names, like really beyond Felicity Jones, Deadweiler, Saldana, like 4th and 5th place are kind of open right now. And that's why in the last few days, I've come around to maybe Gomez can get in because she does have this intense fan base. She did just get an Emmy nomination for Only Murders in the Building. I could see this being The Favorites, right? Where it gets 2 nominations in supporting actress, 1 in lead actress. Like it could happen because there's not a ton of other contenders here. Isabella Rossellini, I thought could get in for Conclave until I saw the movie, and she's like barely in that thing. Can she get in for that basically one little scene halfway through? Rossellini?
I don't think so.
I think she a little bit can, like, when
if she gets BAFTA or something.
But she came out for the Q&A with Conclave, which I watched, and, if she keeps doing that, where, like, she's campaigning with the movie, and people are like, you know what, like, she really did leave a big impression, and we've never nominated her, I think there's still something there a little bit. And I actually wouldn't even hate it, because I did think she was very strong in it. It's too little for me to predict, though, but I don't think it's totally dead.
If she had one more good scene, I'd be predicting her. If there was one more emotional moment in the second half, I think she'd be in.
2 more minutes.
I know, it's like, come on, you can't give her a little bit more? I guess, like, her character is barely in the book, I read. Like, it's barely a character in the book. So I guess that makes sense. You're not trying to necessarily get Rossellini an Oscar nomination when you're crafting your movie, but they should be thinking about that. What do we think about Saoirse Ronan for Blitz? Can she be double nominated this season?
I think if Blitz gets into Best Picture, it's easy for her to get nominated in supporting. It'd be weird if she didn't get nominated in supporting if Blitz was in picture, because it's like right there. It's like the one acting prospect seemingly for Blitz. So,
and we have to remember she could maybe win for it because she got those 2 nominations. I think well, we haven't seen Blitz yet, but if Blitz is in Best Picture, I think she's locked. I'll put it that way. And I do think Blitz is going to get into Best Picture. I don't even think that the movie has to be amazing to get in. It just has to, dazzle people technically. And it's just that kind of movie that does well. So I have her in, and I feel like it's secure until we see, we'll have to see Blitz, but her being the acting prospect there is great for the movie. And yeah, it's great for her that she's able to go supporting here and she doesn't have to conflict. So I definitely have her in.
Do you think we could have a Kate Winslet situation here where all season long she's nominated in lead actress for The Outrun and supporting actress for Blitz, and then at the Oscars she gets a Best Actress Oscar nomination for the movie that's actually in picture, Blitz? Could that happen?
That's bizarre. I mean, it could happen. I think they've made the campaign clear so far. And It sounds like, yes, I think Saoirse Ronan would be dismayed if they conflicted.
That's what they did with The Reader.
I also think that if Saoirse Ronan was lead, I wouldn't be predicting her. So I don't know if her performance is, from what I'm seeing in the trailer, is standing out where I'm like, this is going to be such a powerhouse that it would get in no matter what. Like, I don't know if I'm seeing that yet. I'll have to see the movie, but
yeah, it'll be interesting if she gets in for both of the Oscars and like she wins for Blitz in supporting, and then actress goes to like Mikey Madison or something. I'm not seeing that right now. I feel like if she's just fantastic in both movies, they might want to give her lead for The Outrun. But as long as she's a part of this next award season, I just don't want to wake up on Oscar nominations morning and they snub her in both. That would be really annoying, right?
That'd be funny.
So we have to see what
you know.
we have to see what Blitz is all about, right? I mean, maybe it sucks. We don't know yet.
Sure, that's right. It always happens to something.
But it's Steve McQueen. I have confidence in him. He's a great director.
Yeah.
I think Blitz is going to be good. And then, I mean, I have a few other names here. Like, I'm still not super confident about my 5th place slot, but you have Lady Gaga for Joker. From what I've heard, I haven't seen it yet. I'm hearing that's probably not going to happen, although it's going to be easier for her to get into supporting than lead, for sure. I have also Anjanou Ellis-Taylor for Nickel Boys. Do we think that could be a thing, Nickel Boys?
I'm seeing Nickel Boys later this week, and I'm very curious about that because it's been very similar to what I heard about Stanley Tucci for Conclave. Is some people are like, yeah, sure, that could happen, and other people are like, nope, didn't do enough.
Well, also Rossellini.
Well,
it's very similar
that
to that too.
I think there's a little more screen time there. I actually really don't know. I think if Nickel Boys got into picture, she'd be a very strong asset for the film, and it may come along as long as the movie is in Best Picture, and even that is something that I don't know for sure. So she's a bit wobbly. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I think she has a couple like key direct to camera scenes, and they're going to be some of the best scenes in the film. But she's not a main character, and she won't have that much screen time. So it's kind of a question mark for me. And the Nickel Boys overall, it's hard to tell whether that film's going to be successful at the Oscars. Like, it's just sort of a question mark. And it's reminding me of Zone of Interest, except that it's even more polarizing in a weird way than Zone of Interest. And everybody thought Zone of Interest was at least like they understood the movie and thought it was like well done. And some people just don't like the Nickel Boys. And other people are like, I love this film and the creative risks it took paid off. So it's actually really hard to tell if the Nickel Boys is in or not.
Yeah, I feel like more people need to see it.
Yeah.
But she was also really good this year in Exhibiting Forgiveness, and she's a previous nominee.
I wish she'd get nominated for that.
Yeah, I feel like if they want to give Nickel Boys something in acting, she'll probably be the person. And then Joan Chen for Dee Dee was talked about for a while. That movie kind of came and went. I don't know if she'll be in the conversation, but that would be a really cool Oscar nomination. I really loved her performance in Dee Dee. And Leslie Manville in Queer. Come on.
Oh, I don't have her on the list,
fun.
But she was. It was so good. Yeah,
like she's a previous nominee.
People won't even know she's in it after they see it. Like that's the level of transformations going on here. I would like to see it, but no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And then 3 more films that haven't come out yet. There's Toni Collette for Juror Number 2. I have seen her name on lists going back months, so who knows? I don't know what she's all about in that. There's Elle Fanning for A Complete Unknown. She's never been nominated before. We'll see if she has a lot of screen time in that film. And then are we completely pushing Michelle Yeoh to the side for Wicked? Like that's a great character. You're
really?
pushing Michelle Yeoh?
I don't know much about it. I feel like Ariana Grande would be the main push.
Ariana Grande would be the push.
Then I guess you got to speak about it, yeah. But I don't know.
Well, I've seen the show on stage twice, and that character that Michelle Yeoh plays is a big, flashy character in the show. And her being a recent winner in lead actress, like I could see her taking like supporting actress Golden Globe nomination as a surprise. It's possible, depending on how well the movie's received. I wouldn't count her out completely, Michelle Yeoh.
I gotta admit, I haven't even thought about that, but I will add it to my list somewhere.
It might be nothing, but I feel like she's worth mentioning at least, since she just won Best Actress last year. Any other contenders I didn't mention before we get to our final predictions or early predictions?
I got one. Where Leonie Benesch for September 5th.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Have you heard about September 5th?
I heard it played at Telluride, and I heard good things.
Yeah, so it played at Telluride in Venice, and I didn't get wind of a lot of press for it when it was there, but Paramount has picked it up and claims it's a major awards player, and so do some major awards pundits are like really convinced about it. And so I'm like completely agnostic on the movie. Like I don't think I'm ready to predict it anywhere, but it sounds like if it did become this full Oscar contender, that I think she would get into supporting actress.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely makes her worth a mention, right? Because September 5th, I kind of feel like it's a coin toss. It could get into Best Picture, and if it does, it's got all these nominations lined up, and I think she's included. And I really don't know what to make of it, because no one made a peep about it before it got acquired. But the acquisition was huge, and now I'm seeing it in major pundits lists, like Scott Feinberg having it at like number 1. I think that's
Wow.
outlandish. But and the reason is because it resembles Best Picture winners like Argo and Spotlight. It's got similar themes. It's a thriller, but I just think we're kind of done with that era of like, I don't know, what was that? The 2000s Oscar winner movies and like the early 2010s.
Like the Post.
Yeah, like that. The Post got 2 nominations.
Yeah, the Post kind of flopped onto the boat.
Like that. These kind of films they were real Oscar bait, and now we're kind of like maybe sick of them a little bit. There's also a controversy around that film with people who are anti-Israel feel that the film is not worth celebrating because of that. So I don't know how that would impact the film. I really don't know how to gauge that, especially with like Hollywood. We don't even know where they're at, because like they won't say on either side. They don't want to talk about where they're at. But yeah, that's a good point to include her.
Also, whoever, we don't know the category placements yet, but his 3 daughters, if Leon goes supporting.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that just dropped on Netflix. I'm going to watch it soon.
She's amazing in it. Like,
she should win.
She actually is she's good enough to win. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they should put her in supporting, but I think they're flirting with their like different placements for the actors. And I think she's the only prospect that could actually get nominated, because her character stands out. But I think it's going to be up to critics to do that. And critics will probably try to push her, and it probably won't translate, just like Charles Melton or something.
Yeah.
But the other one I'm flirting with, like in my top 5, is Toni Collette in Juror Number 2.
We already said that.
And we mentioned it, but I actually think it's a potential top 5 contender, because she is the second build, and I'm confident she's in supporting, but I'm also confident she's going to have a lot of screen time. Clint Eastwood's films are generally pretty consistently good. Like, they don't blow anybody out of the water, but like we have to remember, Kathy Bates just got nominated for Richard Jewell.
Yep.
People love Toni Collette, and she might be playing a lawyer. Like, the performance might be like kind of big and fun. And in a year where we don't have a whole lot of locks, there's a lot of contenders here, but there's not a lot of locks. Like, she could creep up. So I wonder what's happening with her, actually.
Yeah, it's hard to be confident because we haven't seen it yet, but she's like hovering around 6th place for me. Which is hard. Like, how do we know? Like, maybe she's barely in it. Maybe she's in it too much. Maybe it's not a great movie. We don't know yet. But that would be 25 years since she was nominated for the first time for The Sixth Sense, Best Supporting Actress. It's been way too long. We need another nomination for Toni Collette.
Yes. She's having another great era, so we should.
Yeah. So my early acting Oscar predictions, Best Supporting Actress, I have Danielle Deadwyler, The Piano Lesson, Selena Gomez, Amelia Perez, Felicity Jones, The Brutalist, Saoirse Ronan, Blitz, and Zoe Saldana, Amelia Perez. So my number 1 in supporting actress to win for me right now is Felicity Jones, The Brutalist.
Gotcha.
The other 4, I really... Like, outside of Saoirse Ronan, they say, you know what, we're not going to give it to her for the outrun. She's really good in Blitz. Let's give her the prize for that. Maybe. But I feel like when people are double nominated, usually, like, if they win, Holly Hunter in 94, nominated in lead and supporting, they give her the prize in lead for The Piano. But Blitz might be in picture, as you guys talked about, whereas the outrun, I don't think it's in anywhere else than actress. So if Blitz is more popular with awards voters, maybe they give their votes to Ronan in supporting. That could also happen.
I'm flirting with Zoe Saldana as winning for Amelia Perez. Not necessarily because I saw the film and thought, oh my god, that's going to win. I didn't see her as supporting at all when I saw the film. And you all went in with the knowledge about, okay, she's probably going to be campaigning and supporting. I mean, what do you think after seeing Amelia Perez more recently that she could win?
I think people like the narrative that Saldana's been in all these movies and, hasn't been given like this type of awards friendly role, and here it is. I don't. I think there's room though. I think some people are getting very comfortable with Saldana at number one, but I think there is room for Ronan or Jones to maybe win as well. But it could just be Saldana. I wouldn't be shocked. She might be my number one. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So far, there seems to be the most eagerness to give her an Oscar for this film. So that's why I would have her at number one right now. And I'm looking out for, like you said, Jones or Ronan to see if there's a better narrative here. But people seem excited about giving Saldana the award, and I think she's a lock for a nomination. So I'm just going to go ahead and be like, all right, that'll be my number one for now.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, could any votes for Gomez take away vote splitting? Could there be that going on with Saldana if Gomez gets in everywhere along with her? Sometimes it's okay. I mean, that we see it all the time. Like, there's someone else from the same movie in the category. One of those two can still win. But that would be really cool. I would love to see Saldana win in supporting actress. I can see it. It could happen.
Yeah, so I've got Saldana at number one, then Felicity Jones, Saoirse Ronan, Daniel Deadwyler, and Toni Collette? Or do you want to go with Selena Gomez?
This is something I don't know.
Let's go with Selena Gomez because it's safer. Honestly, let's just do Selena Gomez.
I guess.
Because Toni Collette, yeah, I think it could happen, but we have no idea about Drummer Room 2. We just don't know.
I think she has a lot of screen time, second build, in a talkie movie. So
I'm sure she does, but
I might have to put her in.
You want to put her in?
I don't know.
It would be risky.
I don't know. Just go Gomez for now.
We'll go Gomez.
Are we sure that Collette will go supporting? Like, it's not a lead performance?
I think so.
I know that she's not the protagonist.
It'd be hard to imagine the studio would be confident enough to put her in lead. Unless the movie was bold, right? Yeah.
All right, Best Supporting Actor. Once again, we're starting with The Brutalist. I think Guy Pearce is finally getting his first Oscar nomination. Could he win? I don't know, but I think he's getting nominated. What do we think?
I think he's getting nominated. I think the only question is, does this win? And is there enough here? I don't know how you felt about this, but I saw Adrian Brody as being in a higher tier than Guy Pearce. I thought Guy Pearce just wasn't as good. I thought Felicity Jones was up there, actually. But Guy Pearce, for me, was good, but not transcendent. In a movie where there are a lot of amazing performances, I thought he was not the best. But he has the screen time and he's got the character where I think he's definitely going to get nominated. And I see people disagreeing with me on the internet about, they think he's the standout of the film and they love him in it. So what do you think about that?
I would agree. Of the three we're talking about in this video, he is the third. He's not quite at the level of Felicity Jones and Adrian Brody, but he has some really great moments in it. His character has some very dark, kind of memorable moments later in the film. That first scene where he just comes running into the house and he's yelling and screaming. He has a lot of Oscar moments in the film. I thought it was a strong performance. I just feel like Guy Pearce is an actor who is beloved in the industry. He's given so many great performances in LA Confidential and Memento. And it's time to give him an Oscar nomination. I think he's absolutely worthy, at least of the nom in a few months.
Yeah, it's a huge performance. There's a lot of screen time for him. There are a lot of scenes where he's standing out, so he's definitely getting nominated, and I'm just debating whether he would win.
I think he might. I think he could win.
He really could.
If The Brutalist wins Best Picture, that would probably happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm so intrigued to see, can The Brutalist win Best Picture? Because I'm leaning toward Brady Corbett winning Best Director over Sean Baker.
That Jones and Adrian Brody and the director are winning, that's the thing, is I have a hard time constructing a package for it that's not so enticing that I have to predict it.
Yeah.
Unless, if I don't know. Maybe I have to give in. I don't know.
I could see Anora winning Best Picture over The Brutalist, even if Brady Corbett won Director. Anora, I think, is a little bit more of a crowd pleaser. So, but we'll see. Just to have those two in contention to win is very exciting because I love both movies. That would be great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Guy Pearce is pretty safely getting in, and then we move on to Conclave. I think Stanley Tucci is going to be nominated. You guys don't think so?
I don't know. I mean, I would say that he has the screen time, but
Yeah.
he didn't leave that strong of an impression on me. I could maybe get behind having him in mostly because he's Stanley Tucci and he's a well-liked actor who's part of a big film and has screen time in the film, and that can be enough. So I might have him in, but to me he's a bit on the cusp, and I know some people who walked away from Conclave completely convinced that he's not happening.
Okay.
So I didn't walk away, that's certain, but
Yeah, I feel sort of iffy about it. Like, it could happen just because the film has a strong presence throughout award season. But, you know, he's nowhere close to, like, winning conversation. And he does have some scenes where he's really good, but he's not... I wouldn't say it's, like, quite scene stealing, or that he is a name you would necessarily mention in your highlight reel of the film.
I just feel like he's a beloved actor. He has that one nomination for Lovely Bones, which is not my favorite. I would like him to have a nomination for a better movie. And I think between him and John Lithgow, who was also pretty decent in the film, I think Tucci has the better shot at a nomination
For sure, yeah.
over Lithgow.
he's the only one, I think, yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. It depends on how much they go all in on Conclave. If they just give it like a handful of nominations, then probably not. But if they give it a ton in tech and they give it to Ray Fiennes, that it maybe gets into director, I could see Tucci making it for sure. And then Clarence Macklin, is that how you say it, for Sing Sing?
Yeah.
Is that happening? You guys would know since you've seen the movie.
I definitely think it's happening.
His narrative is really, really strong. His performance is totally there for it. And also the fact that he's an alum of this program, like, he would give the best speeches if he started winning. And I think that I think that Sing Sing's path to victory, if it still exists, is in him getting up there and giving speeches in the way that Ke Huy Quan got people excited about Everything Everywhere, or Troy Kotsur's got people excited about Coda. Like, I think that it feels really good to give him the nomination, and it would be sad if it didn't happen, and I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it just seems too easy as long as Sing Sing doesn't completely die. Like, even if it has a little bit of a breath in it, I think he still gets in.
Yeah, I mean, even if they fumbled the release of the movie and people don't really know who he is, as long as there's enough eyeballs on the film come December, January, like, he's probably getting in.
I think so, and as long, again, as they do I think a campaign needs to happen, like they obviously, because or else it can just disappear. But they need to have a campaign, and they're saying they're gonna. So, yeah, it's the kind of film that with awards voters, I just think it works so well, but I've been surprised so far about how it's doing.
Because at this moment, I don't have him in my 5. He's like number 6. But I mean, I think if I see the movie, I'm not seeing it because they haven't really done a good job of getting the movie out there.
Yeah,
Pullman
you're just like,
Domingo
where
makes
is
sense.
this thing? Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm like, really? Is there going to be a ton of enthusiasm for Sing Sing come January, February? If it's not really getting out to everybody, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's so weird because I still think that the movie that I've seen is a movie that can win Best Picture.
Okay.
It's just weird how it's not landing in that way. So maybe you got to let me know when you see the movie, whenever that is. Like, my God, it might take a while.
Like, come on, A24, can you send me a screener or something, for God's sake? Let me see this. Kieran Culkin, is he getting a nomination for A Real Pain?
I think that he is. I actually think that he might win. If the movie gets nominated for Best Picture and is like, and doesn't just pop in at number 10 at the last second, like is at least number 8 or something. If the movie's getting nominated, I can see him winning because the performance is huge. And it was said that at Telluride, it was a huge presence and people were really excited about it there. And his performance was the talk of Main Street. And, Kieran Culkin is on a huge career high. People love him right now. So I could see him winning for this. I mean, I think that's one of the best performances of the year. So, have you seen it?
It is also a lead performance.
You saw it.
Too.
Oh, well, I was next to you. I watched it next
saw
to
it together at Sundance. Remember that? We saw it together.
Yeah.
Who would have thought last January we'd be watching a movie together that could potentially win an Oscar for Kieran Culkin? More than a year later.
Potentially.
I would love to see him get in. He is in a lot of the film, right? For supporting actor.
He's a lead. Yeah.
Like, we didn't even talk about Jesse Eisenberg and lead actor. He's good in the movie, too. He directed it. Just the standout.
I think if he were campaigning in lead, I think he'd get nominated in lead. Like, we were just struggling and like, yeah, we were just like fumbling around in the dark for a fifth contender. Like, if he was there, I'd be like, that's it. And I think it depends. It does depend on whether Real Pain's in Best Picture, but certainly if it's in Best Picture, he gets nominated. But even if it doesn't, even if it doesn't get in Best Picture, I think it's still a contender in screenplay and supporting actor, and it's getting a really nice treatment from the studio. It's getting a nice campaign, and I think things are going well. So it's doing better than I thought. I did take him out for a bit, and then I put him back in when the fall came around because I just think that they're doing a good job so far with that movie.
Yeah, it's Searchlight, right? I think they're putting it out in October, mid-October.
Yeah, it's a very good spot.
Yeah, and it's a great movie, very funny, and Culkin just like steals the whole thing. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's incredible.
As you said, like Succession was a huge career boost for him. He won an Emmy recently. I think he's pretty safe, even if A Real Pain were to miss Picture. I haven't really thought about that getting into Picture, but I think you guys are right. It could get in there with 10 nominees. It's that good. I really enjoyed that movie. Denzel Washington, Gladiator 2, right? Right?
Most likely, I think.
I think it's a contender.
Yeah,
and I'm not even that high on Gladiator 2, like getting into Best Picture, but I still think he stands a very good chance because he's Denzel Washington. And he's in the movie a lot.
If the movie is just like seems like it's just kind of not happening, maybe it doesn't do great at the box office because sequels are so volatile these days where it's like you can never tell if the appetite is there for a sequel or not. Like Beetlejuice, apparently there's a huge appetite, yet for Joker it might perform worse than the first. There was no appetite for Furiosa. Like it's all over the place. So
it's mostly a hit though for sequels.
No, but I've seen, the comments on the Gladiator 2 trailer. So like, there's a bunch of people who are like, no one asked for this.
They're different now.
No, it's on the new trailer. People are like, no one asked for this, like unnecessary sequel. And then some people are really excited.
People love to say that because they like to,
I know
pretend they have
standards, but I'm just saying
it's like their ass is in the theater for every sequel.
But let's say that the movie underperforms and it's just no lock for Best Picture. I can see him dropping out.
Yeah, he could drop out. He's not a lock.
But he looks like he's doing a lot.
Yeah.
It just, from what I've seen in the trailer and things, like it just looks like kind of a big performance from him, and they love him. He gets nominated all the time. So if Gladiator 2 is a player in multiple categories at the Oscars, that would shock me if he missed in supporting actor, especially supporting.
Right.
I feel like he would get in there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think he's looking pretty good. Is anybody from Anora going to get into supporting actor? Or you guys think that's just Mikey Madison, actress, nothing else?
So I was thinking that if Anora is going to win Best Picture, I think it's going to surprise in an extra category that people don't expect. Right now, people have it for editing, picture, director, actress, screenplay. But it could go... I mean, the only other categories it makes sense in are cinematography and maybe supporting actor. So it still doesn't seem that likely to me. I think Mark Edelstein... I will say my audience at TIFF was eating him up.
Yeah, he's so funny.
He was getting the biggest laughs. So, unfortunately, he might still go overlooked because this is the first thing people seen him in. People might just see the performance as being very silly, unfortunately. And then Yuri Borisov is really a standout, especially towards the end of the movie. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to say that any of them have a great shot, but they are riding on a really good horse. So who knows?
Yeah, I think Dominic Sessa missing for The Holdovers last time shows that when you're young, even if you're really great and memorable in the movie, if people don't really know you yet, oftentimes you can miss. And so that's why I think Edelstein, as much as I loved his performance, he might get nominated somewhere, but at the Oscars it might be tricky.
Yeah, unfortunately, I would like consider giving this performance an Oscar. I just loved it so much. So I want to keep the hype train going because I want him to be nominated. But yeah, it's just an unfortunate age bias here.
Yeah, and then do we think Jeremy Strong has a shot for The Apprentice?
I do, but for some reason I'm not feeling it as strongly as Sebastian Stan right now. I think it's it's mostly just because of the category.
He's really big in it, though. He has like a lot of.
He's very big in it, and you definitely like think about the character when he's huge in it. So it's kind of hard to say he's not up there with Stan, but the fact is that Stan's category is just much more open, and his performance is also more of a standout. Jeremy Strong's performance is more like one note, and in the end, you kind of see some different shades, but it's pretty like straightforward, I guess. I think it's a definite contender. I just don't really know what to do with it at the moment.
Yeah, so I'm feeling pretty good about most of these choices. There's still wiggle room, I feel like, in that 5th place slot. There's a bunch of people like Austin Butler, Doom Part 2. I still think he was very memorable in that. I don't think that'll be a thing, but he was also in The Bike Riders. He had a pretty good year. I really enjoyed Josh O'Connor in Challengers. That's a movie I love. I hope it gets nominated for something, even if it's just score or something. And then Babygirl. Harris Dickinson, I've seen on lists as being in lead. It's like, if he goes lead for that, forget it. Like, nothing could happen. But I could see that being supporting, along with Antonio Banderas. I thought both were great in that. I do think Babygirl will just be a play for Nicole Kidman at the end of the day. Is that what you guys are thinking?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think anything happens there. Edward Norton, a complete unknown. Do we think that could be a thing?
I've had him in my 5 for, but now he's kind of like in and out. But he's very close. I think we definitely need to consider him. He's got a prosthetic nose. That's something. He's playing a real person. He's singing. He's got a voice going on. And he absolutely seems like they're going to campaign him and that he's going to be an awards play along with Chalamet. So that's pretty compelling, honestly. Like, it really depends on how much people like that film. But could be like a Being in the Ricardos scenario, right? Like, got 3 nominations for acting.
Or a Naiad.
And he's Edward Norton.
Or an Albert Nobbs.
Yeah. Like, it's really hard to keep him out when you think about it.
Yeah, that's true. And I heard from the test screening that he's the standout of the movie.
Oh, okay. That's good news. Okay.
There's like a really early word on test screening. And it's sort of like that the movie's not that great, but that Edward Norton's really good, and that some people think Chalamet is good, and some people are like, eh. But I'm like, I still don't care. Like, people are gonna think he's good overall. It's just like a really early reaction. Like, and they're doing reshoots right now, so it's not even going to resemble the final product. They do reshoots for a lot of films. Like, It may or may not be a bad thing, but it definitely means that like the version that was shown wasn't the best.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. There was some brief talk, Mark Hamill in The Life of Chuck. We don't even know if that's coming out this year. That might be a 2025 film, right?
Yeah.
If I know that's coming out this year, I'm going to put him in because I know that you weren't a Chuck believer. I think that Oscars, it does. Yeah, I just think that the People's Choice Award means a lot. That it screened to this broad, sea of movie fans, and it was competing with a bunch of other films that we know are like Oscar contenders, and it rose to the top. Like I think that has to mean something, and it seems like Mark Hamill could put on a great campaign. But again, I think it's fair to speculate that the movie might not even come out this year. So I don't even know if I can put him in until I learn it has distribution.
I think it's more likely than not that it does come out this year. And I don't know why we've been waiting so long for it to get a distributor. It's been like a week. If more than like 2 weeks passes, I'm just going to get worried. Like, what the hell's happening? But I've been worried about The Apprentice this year and like that turned around. So I just think it's more likely or not that it comes out. And I do believe in Life of Chuck because of People's Choice, and also because there's a few things about the film that I think people are going to think stands out. The storytelling structure, Therefore, the screenplay.
Yeah.
The ensemble overall, I think people universally think is worth, there's no nomination to the Academy Awards, but they might get a SAG nomination. And I wasn't super high on the film, but I think it's got something. Like, it touches people in a very deep way. And even if it's more mainstream, I think there might be room for a kind of mainstream, schmaltzy film this year. And if that's in Best Picture, I have to believe that someone's going to come along and his campaign could take off. So I'm really flirting with him in the top 5.
Yeah, if it gets a good distributor in the next few weeks, it comes out in November, December, the movie gets into picture and adapted screenplay, Mark Hamill probably gets in. It's a supporting actor.
Yeah. I didn't even think he would, I didn't think about it when I watched the movie. I never thought, Oscar never crossed my mind in that movie, but...
No, I never thought
that award
Oscar.
Is a big... Yeah, yeah.
So it
feels like a reach, but... Yeah, I was pretty surprised. I actually didn't think it was going to place, because the buzz was good. But I was worried about a win, but I was like, I don't know what I'd do with it if it won. So, here we are, though. I might even have him in my 5 right now.
Like, I've heard people say, like, if Anora had been a TIFF world premiere, if Amelia Perez had been a premiere there, one of those might have taken the top spot. It's just because Life of Chuck premiered there was a big part of why it got number 1.
That's a good point.
I don't know. Just
it beats so many movies, though.
No, but that's the thing. Is like
but that's the thing. Wild Robot was a TIFF premiere, and that didn't rank.
How did that not place in the top 3? That movie is wonderful.
It is true that it beat a lot of premieres, but you're right that the movies people love the most were from Cannes, which kind of doesn't give them a good shot of winning. It really doesn't.
Give who
so
the shot of winning? Oh,
the movies,
the People's Choice.
Yeah.
But like, I can't imagine, a group of people watching Anora followed by Life of Chuck and saying Life of Chuck is better.
Well, some people did it.
Some people.
It happened. There might not be the people we talk to, but it happened.
Yeah.
But I do think really though people get extra excited. No, you do make a really good point though. People get extra excited about the premieres, being the first audience to see a film, being the first people to hype it up, believing in it.
Yeah, and I've been a huge Mike Flanagan fan for years. To see him get an Oscar
a lot of people say that
would
too.
Be really cool. In
he might get an Oscar win
or a win.
Or a win
for screenplay. Yeah, in screenplay,
adapted screenplay has no clear frontrunner.
It's Conclave, it's Sing Sing, and it's Life of Chuck.
And Conclave is not a writer-director.
I think Conclave would probably win the Oscar over Life of Chuck.
It could.
First non-writer-director to win the category since Calling by Her Name, though.
Oh, wow, that long.
Whereas one's Mike Flanagan.
Oscar expert. You're changing my mind. We'll see if it comes out this year. There might not be much to talk about.
That's the huge caveat. Yeah.
If Netflix dumps it in April, I don't know if much is going to happen with Life of Chuck.
Nope.
So we'll see.
Then if they did not give it an award season release date, I would take it out.
Yeah.
Well, it's only if it gets an award season release date, of course.
Right. Yeah. It has, and this year too. I feel like if they held it to next fall, even, I'd be like, that's weird.
I'd be a little worried, but I'd still have it in at the top of the next year, but that's because we don't know what the hell's happening yet.
Well, that's what they kind of did with Sing Sing. So they held Sing Sing. So we'll see.
They did. Yeah.
And the only other name I have on here, 99.9% wouldn't happen, but he's had a really great year. He's in a ton of things. He's been nominated for multiple performances. Willem Dafoe, Nosferatu. Would be cool.
Sure.
Because that's coming out Christmas Day. I feel like that's going to be a really strong film. I know it's a vampire movie, so outside of like makeup and things, probably nothing's going to happen. But Dafoe was nominated for Shadow of the Vampire, which was also a Nosferatu story, so you never know.
Have you seen The Fire Inside? Did you see that at TIFF?
No, but I saw that on a couple lists. You think that could get into supporting actor? Brian
Tyree Henry's essentially a lead in it, and he's excellent. He's great. Like once again, he's great, and I could see him getting a SAG or Critics' Choice nomination for it. The category is so crowded though that it's it's so many people's games, but I think he's worth having on the list. Also,
Okay.
I guess just to bring back September 5th, like Peter Sarsgaard is, if they put everybody in supporting, then he's supporting, and so is John Majaro. I don't know what happens there, but apparently everyone's good in it.
Yeah, and I think it would get a supporting actor nomination if it's nominated. So that puts someone in September 5th in my top 10.
Also, I think critics may go out for Adam Pearson for A Different Man.
Oh,
and
right.
I would like to see him get some attention, although I think that movie's going to stop short of makeup at the Oscars, but I have him somewhere.
Yeah, I liked that movie. I didn't love it. I didn't walk out like, wow. So, that would be great to at least get it in somewhere at the Oscars.
Harris Dickinson and Blitz, maybe. We'll have to wait for the movie before I predict that.
And we're just not going to mention. We're just not going to mention Sam Jackson at all.
Sam Jackson.
Just no. He's just so no.
I'm like just debating whether to delete him or keep him in. Like maybe his name alone.
He's not even campaigning. He was like the one member of the cast who
wasn't there.
Wasn't at TIFF.
Yeah.
He wasn't at Telluride, so he's just not even trying. Is the thing. If he
Very
was trying,
strange.
then maybe.
6
Yeah.
months
I mean,
ago,
he did-
I had him in first. I just thought that was going to be a thing. And then I saw the film.
I had him in first the whole year.
He's got a
and then
monologue near the beginning.
Yeah.
I would love
But yeah.
Brian Tyree Henry to take off, but I don't know what's going to happen with that film. And even like, yeah. So the only other one I have in here is like, I don't know, Javier Bardem for Dune Part 2? I think it's gone. I think it's not going to happen. But it's like, if something happens for the movie, maybe he's in there. But it's not going to happen. I just don't think so.
Like, Butler has the flashy, villainous performance in that. I feel like if they went nuts for Dune Part 2, Butler would be the most likely acting nominee for that movie.
Yeah. I think it's so far off that, like, it's just not going to happen. Maybe we're just mentioning it for those Dune Part 2 fans who are, like, clinging on to someone, but I don't think anyone's getting nominated for that, even though everyone's very good. So, I think that's everybody, though. There's a really long list here. I think it's the longest list where I think, like, there's the most possibilities. Yeah, but...
Yeah, there's like 15 plus contenders here.
Yeah.
And I reserve to come back on Clarence Macklin because I need to see Sing Sing. He's
Fair
my
enough.
6th place right now. If I see the film, I just fall in love with his performance. I might put him back on here. But right now, my early predictions in supporting actor are Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain, Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce, The Brutalist, Stanley Tucci, Conclave, and Denzel Washington, Gladiator 2.
Okay, so are you in agreement with this right now? It's hard to leave. Okay, it's hard to leave Edward Norton out here. It really is.
I also think that
But you know what? We haven't seen the movie yet, so why not?
but also the movie, the one you have something that might not even come out.
Okay, so we Clarence Macklin, Guy Pearce, Kieran Culkin, Denzel Washington, and Mark Hamill. And
Right
of course,
now, you
this
both have
caveat
Mark Hamill.
might not come out. Yeah,
But if it doesn't come out, I put it
because I'm predicting Life of Chuck for Best Picture. I just think it's more likely than not that it happens in Best Picture. And
So
that it's
who
this
did you-
year.
So you left out 2 I had. You left out Norton and Tucci? Is that who you left out?
Yeah,
They're so close for me though. Like
yeah.
I think they're both very possible, and yeah, so those make a lot
That's
of
interesting.
sense.
Yeah, if Life of Chuck is for sure opening by December, I might have to switch out Tucci for Hamill. But I don't know. I'm getting a sense that Norton's going to be a thing. 3 previous Oscar nominations. They love him. And I feel like if the movie's good...
If I had to like bet, you know, your list or my list, who's more accurate, I would just... I don't know. This is going to shift around for me maybe more than any other category. It's really hard for me to tell. I feel strange not putting Edward Norton in, though.
Yeah. And you think of those contenders, Culkin has the best shot to win right now?
I kind of have Guy Pearce
Guy Pearce?
as like a tentative thing, because I can see how people love Guy Pearce enough, and like they're like, oh, a villain role, like he's a big character, like it could happen. I think Macklin is maybe, and I think Kieran Culkin could win too. Those are I don't know who's winning.
My number one's actually Macklin.
Oh, okay.
And it's based on, a little bit of the gamble that Sing Sing's going to do well with awards still, and maybe he could hold
Mhm.
it could hold on to him, and that his performance is enjoyable to give awards to. Like, people can get wrapped up in that narrative. But it's also because I'm trying not to predict the Brutalist for like every goddamn category. I'm like, man, do I like?
Just
I don't know if I want to put
everywhere.
it in everywhere yet. And Kieran Culkin could go to number one if A Real Pain's in Best Picture securely.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I'll feel pretty stupid if Macklin sweeps the whole season, including the Oscar, and I don't even have him on my list today, but we'll see what happens. I'll be like, don't watch that
people
part.
are saying that I'm stupid to predict that even, so...
Oh, really? Okay.
He's number one in your app.
But we'll see.
It's only September. We have a ways to go. So this was incredible, you guys. 2 hours. This was such a fun conversation. I'm so excited for everyone to chime in on their predictions, what they agree with, disagree with. Do you guys want to let my viewers know where to find you online? Although I think they know where to go.
Yes, you can find us at the Oscar Expert on YouTube.
And if you're not already making predictions on Award Expert, you can download that on the App or Play Store. And it's a whole lot of fun, and it's free to save your Oscar predictions there. And, yeah.
And, we're big fans of the Brian Rowe channel. I'm always impressed with your retrospectives, and I don't like making the retrospectives that much, and people are always begging me, and I just send them to you all the time, because I'm like, he does it best. And, yeah. I saw one person comment, like, oh, I'm surprised that, like, Brian Rowe is, like, knows... It like physically interacts with like the us two at film festivals, and we're like, yeah, like we hang out, when we're at film festivals, like we hang out, just let everybody know. I don't know, so I was surprised. I was like, no,
this has been one of the most surreal aspects of what I do, that I've been fans of your guys' work for years, like going back at least 4 or 5 years. I've been watching your stuff, and so to get to know you guys, hang out at film festivals, finally collaborate here today. What a thrill.
Yeah, it's very, very fun.
So hope to have you guys back. I would love to do maybe a follow-up in the months to come, kind of talking about like where the acting races, maybe some other top races are settling as we get closer to the Oscars in a few months' time. But as of now, we'll say goodbye, and thank you so much for watching The Awards Contender.